All right, y'all. So we in a house. We in a house for a good topic today, and we're gonna be talking about how carrying the past into the present can create new distance in your relationship. Can create distance in your relationship.
And just mess your relationship up.
Mess it up. Jack it up.
Just period.
Yeah. Just lead you into a space where you're just feeling depleted, overwhelmed, anxious, uncertain, and you just don't know what to do. And so, again, if this is you want to make sure that you're tuning into this because we want to provide some support and encouragement. Before we hop into the content for tonight, and I see somebody on the Blamly said they're feeling mentally drained but blessed. We want to encourage y'all to go to blamchallenge.com to register for our 5 days to more effective communication challenge. That's happening June 23rd through the 27th. If you're on IG, comment mindset, and we'll shoot you a DM. On TikTok, go to blamchallenge.com, and we'll make sure that we reach out to you. To ask you to sign up. And then the Blamly, y'all do the same thing. Make sure you sign up for this.
So let me just say this for those who have done it before. There's something about folks that are like, oh, I did that. You haven't done this. And you've never been where you are right now in your life and in your relationship. So it's just like you can be sitting in the congregation or listening to a speaker and you'd be like, I heard it before, but I ain't hear it like that. And so sometimes you are not ready to receive certain things until you get to a certain level in your relationship and your mindset and your thinking. And that's why we said type mindset in the chat on Instagram, because relationship work is personal work.
Yeah.
Don't we say that all the time? Relationship work is personal work. And so this 5 days that we're going to come together to elevate your communication, to elevate your understanding, your connection, your commitment, and your courage is like no other communication challenge that we've done. So I just really hope that folks will come out, because people talk a whole lot of stuff.
They do.
But they don't really do a whole lot of stuff all the time. Some do.
Yeah, some do.
Some do.
But a lot don't.
But a lot don't.
Yeah.
It just yapping, but you ain't serious.
Talk a good game,
you ain't
but
serious.
really about it.
Our communication is just messed up. Our communication. But what have you done to look at your communication, to look at how you communicate, what's helpful and what's not helpful? Or do you just know what they do wrong? I'm just saying, come to the 5 days to more effective communication challenge. It's gonna be good.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It's always fire, y'all. And again, we love the participation, the engagement. And if you feel so inclined, upgrade to VIP. The experience is totally different inside the VIP room. And so, again, upgrade to VIP if you want that more up close and personal access. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and hop right into it. Before we do this, y'all, so my wife and I think I mentioned this the other day when I went live on Instagram, but my wife and I, we recently watched a movie. And in the movie was called You Hurt My Feelings.
Oh, yeah, y'all need to watch that on
You Hurt My Feelings.
Netflix.
And it was on Netflix. And one of the beautiful things about the movie is that it actually it highlighted the fact that when it comes to being in relationship, sometimes we won't be all the way real. We be faking. We won't be all the way real. And a part of the reason why is because based off of our historical experiences in our relationships in our formative years, maybe even in the current relationship that you're in right now, many of us tap dance, many of us coddle, many of us accommodate.
Hey, Savannah.
Many of us align, join. Many of us lie. Many of us do different things to try to make the experience as less stressful as possible. And so we try to minimize the experiences that we have, but we don't try to necessarily race and run towards the pleasure and the blessings that we could possibly have. And so again, this movie was about You Hurt My Feelings, and it was about having real talk and how we shy away from having real talk.
It was about a married couple.
In relationships. Yeah, about a married couple. And so again, this is important, and this ties directly into the communication challenge too, along with the content tonight. Fellas, sisters, we gotta keep it real. We gotta cultivate the courage to have the hard conversations.
Yeah.
We gotta cultivate the courage to look at self. We do.
But I will say this, thinking about the movie, it was showing how the husband and the wife was kind of lying to each other a little bit about things, but they weren't out. Well, how you say it? It wasn't like they were. Well, what you call them? I can't stand that language. White lies. Like white lies are small. You know what I'm saying? But but they were not always being completely truthful about like his opinion on her writing, her work, her book, her skill set, her talent. She wasn't always being truthful with him about the presents he gave her and what he gifted her. Right. But the intention was to really just be sensitive to the other person. So it was much more textured, the movie. It was showing the realness of how we are in relationships. And real talk, I just have to say this real quick. I have seen this lots of times. I mean, it's actually interesting to me because I've shared this with my husband before and working with couples and in talking with wives. There's a very common theme of like wives, women being irritated by the fact that they feel their partner doesn't take the lead enough in the relationship. Mm-hmm. If anybody know about this, if you're like, I know about it, just do that. You know what I'm saying? They don't take the lead enough. They don't plan no dates. They don't plan no vacations. You know, they don't do, I got to direct them to do everything, you know. And I'm always, you know, I just might be, you know, dang, I don't want to say I'm of a certain age demographic out here. I'm like, is it, but, you know, like, you can't.
You're a little bit seasoned.
You know, I always tell people, like, you have to pick and choose. Like, I understand the desire to be wooed, and it's a requirement in my relationship. It is. I understand that, right? But I don't expect for Ayize to get every single thing right. I don't expect him to be able to have all the best presents and know all the different things. I mean, like, if he has given me stuff before that it was okay, right? And I didn't say, like, that's not what I wanted. That's not what it's supposed to be. Like, I can't, I'm just tired. And so I told him what it was supposed to be. Like some of the things that we focus on and we harbor on, I think probably just from my clinical lens, we make them bigger than they need to be because there really is a deeper underlying disconnect in a relationship. So when things that are seemingly, I'm not going to say small, but, you know, things like you didn't get the right present, you didn't pay attention to what I said about I want to go out on a date, but you won't pull yourself together to pick the date out because you like, he need to do it. Because I say he need to do it. It's really not about the date. It's about the fact that you want to be wanted and you're not feeling wanted at all. So I know that people conflate those things. But for those of you who don't have those issues, your partner is relatively engaging with you. They try to get some things right, but they're not doing all the little pieces, especially my sisters out here. Like, fall back. Like, you know what I mean?
You telling the women to fall back?
Uh-huh. I am. It's like, give some grace. Just give some grace. You know? I mean, and I've been in plenty of conversations where the man be like, she'll never be cooking. Not that only women are supposed to cook. Men can cook too. We not about reinforcing gender stereotypes per se. She'll never be cooking, but he just be quietly dealing. Going to McDonald's, irritated. But she be like, he didn't plan a vacation. What? Did he ever plan a vacation when y'all were dating? Did he plan one in the first year, the second year, the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, or 15th year? Why at year 16 is this still a problem?
This is really good, y'all. This is really a good piece because you know, I'm glad that you're lifting this up as a woman. Sometimes when we as men lift this piece up,
focused on that.
Yeah. When we as men lift it up, it feels as though we're deflecting, we're complaining, we're trying. But she ain't lying, y'all. As a husband, as a man, I'm conversing with men all the time. And one of the things that men often say is that, you know, I do a lot. I'm leaned in. I'm pouring in a lot. And a lot of times I don't feel as like I'm getting credit for what it is that I'm doing. And it's not that we got to get the pat on the back or the applause 24/7, but we do want the acknowledgement. We do want the affirmation. I lifted this piece up the other day. I asked a question of a sister. I said, you know, how often are you affirming your husband? How often? And many of the Blamley know that when it comes to that ratio, there's a 5-to-1 ratio. Are there 5 positives for every 1 negative that you're giving? Or is it reversed? Is it reversed? You're giving 5 negatives for every 1 positive.
I mean, explain that so people understand what you're talking about.
And so when it comes to successful relationships, you know, and we're going to be talking about this during the communication challenge. Go to blamchallenge.com if you have not already registered. But again, we're talking about in successful relationships, there is a ratio of positive versus negative deposits. If you expect your relationship to be successful, you want to make sure that there's more positive than negative. And that ratio looks like 5 positives for every 1 negative.
So
And
you said one
unfortunately-
negative thing, you need to say 5 positive things.
Unfortunately, like most folks are doing it the inverse, where it's 5 negatives for every 1 positive. If there's ever even a positive. And so I'm just lifting this up. It's not that your man ain't got work that he needs to do. He does. And I'll be quick to say that. And at the same time, too, there are things that he is doing that you ain't seeing. And so I want you to pay better and closer attention to those things and acknowledge them and applaud them when needed.
That's good. We kind of went on a little tangent. My bad. I took us off a little bit.
Yeah, but that was important.
But for those who didn't hear, go and watch. What's it called? You Hurt My Feelings. You Hurt My Feelings on Netflix. It's just a little married couple with a 20-something-year-old son. It's following their marriage. It's cute and it makes you think, just about relationships and marriage. So let's shift into exactly what we're talking about. What I said earlier is that oftentimes we focus on the seemingly surface things. I do think they're important, but they can be sometimes I'm like, is it really about him planning it, or is it about the quality of time that y'all spend, right? Sometimes we're doing that because there really are some underlying issues. There's some unmet needs, some things that are not getting addressed, and that stuff is stacking up and resentment is happening. There are old wounds. Old wounds in the room that you're still holding on to that haven't been addressed. And I'm not saying you're holding on to them. Well, you shouldn't be holding on to them. But I guess what I'm trying to say is you can't let it go until you address it. Time does not heal all wounds. Somebody get that in your spirit tonight. Time does not heal all wounds. All old wounds. Okay, so old wounds are things like old betrayals, just relationship hurt, infidelity that hasn't been addressed, unmet needs, long-standing unmet needs in the relationship, even things going back to your family patterns, your childhood, that kind of thing. And so the way that our brain works is our brain is wired to protect us. That's just who we are as human beings. Our brain is wired for protection. So we don't always recognize that our defense mechanisms are really protecting us from something that happened years ago, that happened in the last relationship. It hadn't even happened in this relationship. It's not going down like that, but our brain is recognizing that. Unhealed wounds distort your current reality. They just do. And so when you carry past wounds into your relationship, you play old tapes. You never listen to me. You never really listen to me. And is that really true? Sometimes your partner is listening to you. They're giving you feedback that you don't like. They're saying, I hear what you're saying, but I want to give you another perspective. You're not listening. Now, they may not be getting sometimes to the heart of the matter. There's some other pieces that you're really trying to get, but just blanketly say you're not listening would be an untruth. What you really need to say, if you were really to get in tune with your psychology and what's going on, is, I really felt invisible growing up. And this feels like that. I felt invisible. I wasn't heard when I was little. And when I had these conversations with you, it feels like that all over again. It doesn't mean your partner is doing that, but that's what's happening emotionally for you. And so that is what happens when old wounds get carried into your current relationship. So I want to do a quick check-in. I want you to drop a number 1, a 1 in the chat. If you've ever found yourself getting extra upset in a moment, upset, and you knew deep down it was about more than just what y'all was talking about, just drop a 1. When you was getting extra upset, giving a whole lot of energy in the moment, and you like deep down inside, it got to be more going on than this. This probably not doesn't register.
Are y'all gonna be honest?
This kind of response, but anyway, I'm still upset. I'm mad. Period.
Have you done that, Ben?
Never. That's just something I don't do.
Bro.
Yes, I have. Lots of times, actually.
Yeah. I'm seeing IG dropping.
Yeah, I see the ones.
Where y'all at? Where the ones at? I see the Millennials dropping the ones too. And I would also say that I have done that, as well. Actually, we had a conversation earlier today. And I felt as though my wife kind of stepped on my toes.
I felt that energy. I was like, ooh, something else going on.
And so one thing that I'm really thankful for is that, we've grown into a place where we're able to have radically honest conversations. And so, it hasn't always been that way. But I do think that in the earlier years, we were honest to how we knew how to be.
Yeah.
And so, you know,
Yeah.
there's a maturation that comes along when you're being in a relationship. And so, because we've been together for so long, we've matured in reference to our vulnerability, in reference to, you know, what it is that we share, and also how we receive what our partner shares. And so, but even with that, y'all, though, it still requires work. So I want to emphasize that piece, y'all. It still requires work. There's levels to it. So even as you mature in your relationship, there'll still be other levels that you can explore further. And so earlier today, my wife shared with me a conversation that she had with our son. And
Don't put his business out there.
I'm not. I mean, and so she shared what she shared, and I was basically I felt some sort of way, but initially I didn't articulate what it was that I felt. And so it took me a second to really get in touch with it,
Well,
but I felt like she
good.
overstepped.
You did good. It didn't feel
I
like it took
appreciate
a
that.
minute.
Well, it felt like, I felt like she overstepped. And as a result, you know, again, she was able to get the additional information, you know, from me and feel, you know, as though I was being transparent and you know, honest about what was going on. And so that right there, with that understanding, we were able to build on that conversation, and the understanding increased. And so I'm challenging everybody on here. You know, we all have stuff inside of us, but it takes a certain level of courage, honesty, attunement,
To your own self.
yeah, to self, in order for you to be willing to actually express yourself and get that stuff out. And so, but I will say this as well, my wife has grown tremendously in her receptivity to my emotional, to my vulnerability. She's grown tremendously. And fellas, I'm just saying that, you know, a lot of times we don't share because we think that they won't be able to receive. We think that they're going to be pushing back. You teach your spouse how to treat you, and you'll never know, you'll never be able to experience it unless you try. And when I say try, don't just try once, try again. Try again, and try again.
And again.
You know, until y'all get that piece right. And so what y'all are witnessing and looking at is years of attempting, trying, getting it wrong, fucking it up, and figuring it out. And so that's what I want everybody to experience, is like, what's on the other side of you actually making multiple attempts over and over and over again.
Yeah, and you know what? What Ize just said is so deep, so big. You got 20 more minutes.
What you say?
20 minutes, ain't there? I'm sorry, my son coming to ask. He a little under the weather, so I'm making him take a
I'm trying
nap.
to cut his nap time
He
short.
he just wrote on a little piece of paper, "Is my nap over?" No, because he's sick. I make all sick people take naps. What was I saying? Oh, so I don't want y'all to lose this. What my husband just talked about, right, in terms of the repetition that we've experienced and getting it wrong, getting it right sometimes, getting it wrong again, getting it right. That's practice. Thank you for all the love on TikTok. I appreciate that. But it's practice. So we talk about this a lot in our work. You have to practice being in a relationship. You have to practice being vulnerable. You have to practice.
Yeah.
You got to practice being honest. You got to practice getting offended and being able to regulate yourself, right? So if you don't do it, if you don't share, if you're not honest, if you don't make a practice of it, then all you're practicing doing is shutting down, keeping yourself safe, and being defensive, right? And so of course you're not growing. You're just growing in the wrong way. You're growing in the wrong direction. You know what I'm saying? So just remember that it's about practice. So
That's why y'all got to show up for the communication challenge.
yes, go to
That's going to reinforce the
blamechallenge.com.
practice. It's going to reinforce the
BLAM.
practice. You know, it's one thing, speaking about
Challenge.
that practice piece, it's one thing to know what to do, but it's another thing to be settled in what it is that you do. And so I'm often using a sports analogy, so I'm not sure whether or not, you know, we could use football, basketball. I'm just going to stick with basketball. And so a lot of people know how to shoot a layup. But it's not until you actually get the mechanics down that you're able to finesse it. A lot of people know how to run certain routes in football, but it's not until you're able to get the mechanics down that you know how to finesse. And so I think that people try to do this fancy footwork up front, but y'all ain't got the fundamentals.
Because you're in practice.
You know, and so what I'm encouraging everybody on here to do is to really get the fundamentals down, and then you can, you know, remix it after that. But it requires that you're in practice, in process, on a path, and then you get to a place where you can actually remix what it is that you got. But some of y'all, you know, y'all ain't even practicing at all.
Right.
You're not. You're avoiding. You're stonewalling. You're shutting down. You're just giving a silent treatment.
And this is how it creates distance. This is how the old wounds, the old things that have not been resolved or from childhood or from past relationships come into the current relationship. You avoid, like my husband said. What are some of the other things they do? You overreact. You escalate quickly over the small stuff. The shutting down thing. Some of y'all are some professionals. Y'all some professionals. You like, and I'm out. And you walking around the house and y'all ain't talking for days. But this is distance. It's creating distance in your relationship. You want to be connected. You know what I'm saying? You want to be close to each other on the couch. You want to go to the movies. You want to go get something to eat. You know what I'm saying? You want to touch on each other a little bit. And you're not getting there. And so we gotta have insight about how some of this old stuff is affecting us, because we're carrying old stuff. Like mistrust, for example. Assuming negative intentions instead of assuming good intentions of your partner is out of order.
Malice masters.
It's out of order. You should always be assuming good intentions from your partner. And if you are in a relationship where you cannot say that with integrity, you can't say, I would love to be able to say that about my partner, but that is not true, then you need to have a conversation about that.
With yourself.
You know what I'm saying? With yourself first. Yeah, to like, self, who I got? You know what I'm saying?
Why I choose this person?
God, come up, talk to me, Lord, so I can see who I really got. And maybe they just don't recognize how they are interacting with you, and you need to have an open conversation with them about how you don't trust their intentions. And you all can grow from that, or maybe they're the wrong one. I don't know. But we have to get into how it is we are bringing old stuff into the relationship, because oftentimes we're creating issues. We're what's the word we always say? We're assigning meaning to what people do, all that kind of stuff. You want to say something?
Yeah, you said something a second ago. You said, God, who I got. But I want to empower everybody and just put you in a position, put you in a driver's seat. It's not just God, who I got, but God, who did I choose? You chose the person that you're in a relationship with. Even if he chose you, sis, even if he chose you, you're choosing to still be in relationship. And so you got to own that. You got to own that piece right there. And so, again, when you have those quiet conversations with yourself, think about your choices. Your choices to avoid. Your choices to overreact. Your choices to erect emotional walls. Your choices to mistrust. Think about your choices. Think about the choice of the person that you're in a relationship with. That's the choice that you made. The question you got to ask yourself is why?
Yeah.
Why?
That's good. So I want to give y'all another example of how old stuff, bringing old stuff, whether you're conscious of it or not, jacks your relationship up in the present. So we would work with a couple where the wife would shut down every time they argued. I mean, it was really like almost every time. And she would just go to this place where she'd be like, I'm not doing it. And when we dug deeper, so for her, she thought like, I'm just not going to engage. I'm not dealing with that. I'm just not. And she thought she was, taking a high road, so to speak. But when we really dug deeper, what we learned as we worked through this process is that it wasn't really about him. It wasn't about him. It was about growing up in her house with a parent who was volatile, who was aggressive at times, who was up and down in their emotions, where every conversation that turned into an argument felt unsafe for her. She didn't feel like she could speak or share, and that was a pattern in her relationship. So she shut down not because he was doing anything wrong. She shut down not because he didn't care. She shut down not because she didn't care, but because her nervous system went into protection mode. Because that's the pattern. That's the pattern that she brought from childhood. And thus that's an old wound that she did not recognize. And so unless and until we can do that, y'all, we're never going to be able to get to the level of where we're going to take you during the 5 days to more effective communication challenge, because relationship work is personal work. You got to be able to get in proximity to people who can share with you, who can reflect back to you, hey, there's a blind spot that you might have. So I just want to know, I need y'all to drop a 2 now this time. I don't even know, drop a number 2. if something is clicking for you, if this is making sense. I want to make sure that we're on the same page. Give me some tools. If you're seeing a way an old wound might be showing up in your relationship, or maybe showed up in the past in your relationship, it was an old wound, and you've done some work. Give me some tools. I need some vulnerability on here. Don't act like you ain't got no old stuff. I just want to know you're connecting the dots. Okay. Thank you for my tools over here on Instagram. Thank you. So thank you on TikTok. Two. Yes.
Where y'all at? What tools we got?
Right. We got to be able to connect the dots. Mm-hmm. Because there's old stuff that we don't recognize. Dang. It's really and sometimes it can be a mixed bag. It could be like, it's how they been, and it's my stuff. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So two things can be true at once. But at the end of the day, there are some steps that you can do to break the pattern. There's some things that you can do to break the pattern. And we want to invite you to really think about this. Whatever stands out to you the most on this evening, really focus on that so that you can start to dictate to yourself how you going to be and the type of love, the type of communication, connection, freedom you want to experience in your relationship, instead of letting your old stuff run the show. Basically run the show.
I'm curious to know whether or not we got any men on here that have actually either verbally expressed or just thought to themselves, like, I don't want to hear what you got to say.
Everybody on here thought that, hasn't it?
I'm talking about the men. You know, the any dudes on here, when it comes to you and your wife, you and your woman, like, I don't want to hear nothing that you got to say. I don't want to hear you. I'm curious to know. And I'm asking that question because, you know, we as men are oftentimes operating from a place in which we're trying to control definitely the environment, but in many instances, we're trying to control the way the relationship moves. I'm highlighting this because when it comes to being in a relationship, in order to break the pattern, we first got to name it, y'all. And so if you got an issue with control, name that. If you got an issue with, fellas, defensiveness, name that. Ladies, defensiveness, name that. I can recall instances in which, you know, my wife, I might sparingly lift something up. And
wait a minute. Sparingly lift up. What does that even mean?
Occasionally. So you might lift up something like every day.
I do not.
But I would lift up something like every 6 months. And so when I lifted up something every 6 months...
What's the something?
I don't know, because it's been so long ago, I can't remember.
You know.
So if I was to lift up something every 6 months, you know, my wife, she may become defensive. And again, I had to point this piece out to her because I don't know if she saw herself. She would be quick to lift up this issue that I've had around control. But when it came to defensiveness, she wasn't necessarily seeing herself, but I had to point that piece out. And she actually has recognized that I got to work on my receptivity. And she's done an amazing job, y'all, of even doubling back if she was initially defensive to make amends. And so I'm truly appreciative of that, baby.
Thank you, boo.
Mm-hmm. But that control piece is real, y'all, to the degree in which, like, you got to be open to the feedback that you get from your spouse. And so awareness can come from self, but awareness may come from outside of you. There's people that's on here right now inside the Blamley that have told stories about having family meetings and family members lifting up how the husband shows up in the relationship or shows up in the family. It expands awareness. And so when you're able to name what your stuff is, based off of what you know about yourself, based off of what you know about yourself in terms of how you grew up, or based off of your family members telling you, you need to fix this, bruh. You need to look at yourself, sis. That awareness piece is the first thing that you definitely got to pay attention to. You can't heal what you don't acknowledge. You cannot heal what you will not acknowledge. And so the first thing is that you got to acknowledge it. You got to name it. And then you got to own it. You got to own your work. Own your work. It's yours.
Period.
I've said this to a number of fellas that, you know, I can't do your push-ups for you. You got to do your push-ups for yourself. And that goes for the women as well, too. Like, we can't do that for you. We'll give you the insight. We'll give you the inspiration. We'll give you the path. And we'll give you the process. We might even inspire you with a sense of purpose. But in terms of you actually putting boots, all y'all want to put boots to the ground.
Boots on. I just learned that.
All y'all want to put boots on the ground. But are you putting boots on the ground in your relationship? Are you putting boots on the ground when it comes to your own personal work to improve the way that you're showing up in your relationship? It's a fat ass no for a lot of y'all. It is. It is. It's the truth. Like, I mean, I know based off of doing this work, it's a no. But you know, you're in process, and I'm encouraging you to actually do the work. Lean in and do the work. And so, you know, again, your partner can support you, but they can't do your healing. They just can't. They can't do your healing for you. And so, in order for you to experience some level of healing, some level of transformation, what's required is self-reflection. What's required is therapy, coaching, counseling. What's required is prayer. What's required is accountability. What's required is community. All of that's required. And if you're unwilling to engage, then you're going to keep getting what you've been getting, which is being stuck. It's being stuck.
Yeah.
And so you got to make sure you're prioritizing, like, yo, this is what I want to experience. And in order for me to experience it, I got to make sure that I'm putting certain things in place. So I got to build and cultivate an environment of safety. We always talk about creating a safe space. We talk about creating a safe space. And so, again, like, this is something that you got to prioritize. We're going to go deeper in this on the challenge.
Yeah.
And I'm going to break down further, like, what it means to create a safe space. But a high-level overview would be looking at, like, listening, empathy. It would be looking at, you know, affirmation, slowing down, giving grace, you know, openness, receptivity. All of these pieces are what's required to create a safe space.
I'm curious, out of everything my husband said, what did you say? You said name it, name the issue. You know, name what you like. Dang, I gotta name what I need to work on. Owning your work. So naming the issue is let me just get in the bag real quick. There's a whole lot of us, y'all, who know how to name the issue for ourselves and for our partner. They be like, I talk to so many people, and they be like, yeah, so when I was 12, this happened, and then because of that, I think, you know, my attachment style was da-da-da-da-da, and my husband, he also dealt with, you know, an emotionally unavailable mother, and so, you know, he had a hard time trusting. You know, we can name it. So many of y'all name it, and some of y'all, no, you're like, I need to do some work to figure out what I need to name. But many people name it, but owning the work, which is the second thing my husband said, is different than that. Just because you name it doesn't mean you working on it, and don't mean you looking at it. You just know, like, that's how I got to be this way. In my family, we just kept it 100. We just kept it real. We just blunt like that, and, you know, that's just how I grew up. But that ain't got nothing to do with owning your work and how you impact people and how you affect your partner and the energy that you bring into the room. When you come with that kind of energy, that's not owning the work. So number 2, owning the work, and then number 3, what did you say? Creating safety, emotional safety, creating a safe space in your relationship. Out of those 3 things, number 1 for naming it, number 2 for owning your work, and number 3 for creating emotional safety, of course, within yourself and in your relationship. Which one do you need to work on the most? I need a 1, 2, or 3. Like, this right here is just a good place for you tonight. So when you get off, you can be like, Number 2, own my work. Like, and then you just go and pray. God, help me to figure out how to own this thing, how to own my work. You know, I need to work on emotional safety. I need a 1, 2, or 3. What do you need? You need to
safety. That's number 3.
Name it. You need to name it. You need to own your work, or you need to work on emotional safety in your relationship. Okay, I see.
Safety.
Safety. Oh, the safeties are coming through.
Fellas representing. Shout out to the fellas.
Okay, I see Phoenix Arise said owning the work, owning your work. And there's no shame. You know what I'm saying? We got like, all of us got some stuff we got to do. All of us. Mine would definitely be safety. Creating more emotional safety. What would yours be?
Mine would be naming it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that you know, I'll speak for myself specifically, and I know a few brothers put number 3 in here for the safety piece. But for me, the reason why I said name it is I think that a lot of men are internal. And you know, because we're so internal, we're processing and we're thinking about flipping things through our minds. So when I say name it, I'm talking about like actually giving volume to my voice and speaking what it is, speaking what the issue is, speaking what the barrier, the gap is, and being communicative with my wife about that piece. And so I do think that first step of naming it, getting it out of my head, or at least trying to figure out like what the emotions are, is an important piece. Is an important piece.
Yeah, that's good. That is so good. You little Pookie Pie.
Thank you, man.
I'm gonna name it more.
Mm-hmm.
Little Poochie. Okay, sorry. Listen, y'all. Old wounds are real, but they do not have to run your relationship. The question is, are you willing? Oh, there's that willing word. Some of my auto overcoming sisters know about that. Are you willing to do the uncomfortable work of looking back so you can move forward? Sometimes we owe so much on, don't look back, don't stay stuck. But guess what? Sometimes you have to look back in order to move forward. You got to get clear about what's back there. What's that on me? What is that? Get that off me. You know what I'm saying? And you cannot carry old wounds and expect new connection. So we invite you to stepping into a greater level of self-awareness, stepping into a greater level of effort in your own personal development and in your relationship. And we invite you to the 5 Days to More Effective Communication Challenge. Happening when? When is it happening?
June 23rd through the 27th. IG comment Mindset will shoot you a DM.
Yes.
Inviting you to the challenge.
It's a completely free
Blaming.
challenge.
Yeah, y'all go ahead and sign up. And then TikTok, go to blamchallenge.com. We'll drop the links for y'all to be able to sign up as well, too. This is going to be a dope experience, y'all. This is one of our signature challenges. And real talk, like, a community was built off of this challenge. The transformation that people have experienced, the insights that have been gained, truly have been edifying, uplifting, encouraging, and inspiring. And so, again, drop the word mindset if you're on IG. And we look forward to seeing y'all. Upgrade to VIP too, y'all. Upgrade to VIP, because in doing that, we got a whole... we got 2 after parties that's going to take place. Get yourself together. Get it together. Y'all see my wife? Yeah, singles kind of thing.
Sorry.
Get it
Absolutely for singles.
we got after parties. You'll get a workbook. We got additional resources that you'll be able to get access to as well. And we got study hall. We got Q&A that's going to be taking place. So if you got specific relationship issues that you want feedback on, get VIP. So
whether you're in a relationship or not, because we have to do that looking back so that we can attract the right partner. That is for sure.
Yes.
I see a Blamley member has a question. So we're going to, I know that Isaiah will stick around when we finish so that he can chat with some Blamley members. Blamley, that's our membership community. Those are our family. We go way back. So everybody, enjoyed being with y'all tonight. So much. It's good to be back in the Relationship Thursday seat sitting next to my husband. I know, but we've been doing a whole lot, y'all. You know what I'm saying? We've been out here. We've been graduating kids from high school. Got a son about to be in a spinoff of Snowfall. Oh my goodness! And he about to be on Euphoria. That's our oldest. Our son who just graduated about to go to UC Riverside on a track. What's it called? Academic scholarship. We got our 2 daughters, and we about to move to the ATL. Shawty just locked down the house. Shawty, you know what I'm saying? We're doing it out here. I'm feeling my drink a little bit, but I'm just saying. We've been out here busy in these streets, so it's nice to be back in this seat next to my husband. I feel blessed. I'm excited about the future. And I'm excited about the 5 Days to More Effective Communication Challenge. All right, y'all. All right, bye, y'all.
Blamley, I'm going to hang out with y'all for just a second. I'm going to answer that question for you, sis. IG. For those on IG and those on TikTok, I'm talking to the Blamley right now. If you want to learn more about that, make sure you sign up for the challenge. Sign up for the challenge. You'll get more information about the Blamley when you do that.
Peace.
All right, y'all.